In this video, we're going to focus on how we can create overlapping segments on our donut chart here. As you can see here, we're getting these items nicely and it overlaps one after another. And if I hide one of those, as you can see, it starts to change and it will recalculate itself. And if I put it in there we are, it shows again. So let's start to look how we can create these overlapping donuts. First of all, make sure you have the boiler template, which you can find here on chartjs3.com getting started, this specific link here, which you can find as well in the description box. Once you're on here, copy this chunk of code and you're good to go. Next, if you want to get the source code of this video and many others, check out my Patreon page. And of course, got a question, put it on Discord. All these links are in the description box. So we have this here, and what I want to do first is convert this into a donut chart. So I'm going to say here, donut. Save that, refresh, there we are, that's huge. Let's change, well, let's remove the scale first. We don't have any scale. There we are. And then next what I want to do is I want to slice this in half. So let's do that first, and after we're going to reduce the size of it. To slice it in half, quite straightforward. We're going to say here, circumference. And we're going to give it 180 degrees. So refresh this, there we are. Now what I want to do is I want to rotate this from this point. We're going to rotate it to here. That will mean that we a 75% circle, which is 270 degrees if the full circle is 360. So that will be here. We're going to say here rotation 270. There we are. Now we have all this excess of white space that we can remove. We're going to do here, we say here aspect ratio of 2. So that means that the width will be 2 and the height will be 1. There we are. That looks much better. Let's narrow down this item. By doing that, we're going to say a comma, we're going to say cut out, and this will be 90%. Save, refresh, there we are. Final item is the border radius for all of these items here. Comma, we say border radius. And we're going to say here maybe 20 pixels. Save that, refresh, there we are. To overlap them will be slightly more tricky because we're going to create these circles. To do it easy, I'm going to expect that the background color will be a solid color. So what I'm going to do is just going to copy all of these and just put them in here. Save that, refresh, that looks much better for now. And then here for the border, eventually I need to make this white. But we'll see if we make a separate video for that, if that will be too complicated for now. There we are, and we can just say here maybe the border width will be 2 pixels. Save that. There we are. Alright. So let's start to work on creating this shape. So to do that, we're going to say here in the options, or after the options object, we're going to say here the plugins, and we're going to say here overlapping segments. Let's call it like that. And this will be our new plugin. So say constant this equals id equals that. And then we're going to say here, we're going to draw this after the data sets has been drawn because we want to be on top of each item. Say chart, arcs, and plugin options. There we are, our plugins. So once we have this, I'm going to do an object destruction. I'm going to say ctx. And then I'm going to say data equals the chart object. And then what I want to do here, first of all, is we are going to work around with some of these very advanced items because I need to calculate the end angle here. This is the end angle. We have a starting angle and a starting angle here, and here a end angle. I'll be needing that. I need to convert it into a position. To do this, I need to know what is the starting point of the center of this. Basically, the center is here because the arc is drawing like that, where this x and y coordinates are in here. So I'm going to just grab those. Luckily, we have access to this by doing just something very simple, a built-in function. We're going to say chart dot get data set meta index 0 because we only have one data set, and then I say data 0. And let's save that. Refresh. Open up here our item and we get our arc element. And remember, this arc element is data point 0, which is basically the arc element for 18. However, the center arc or the calculation of the x and y here somewhere, this one here. This here is the exact center here. They are all the same because they're all from the same data set, so they have one single arc calculation, or their radius and everything is identical from this point on. So I won't go too deep, just follow along, and I'm just going to grab all of these items. X and Y are important, so I'm going to say here, constant x will be equal to, I'm going to grab this, dot x. Then I'm going to do the same for the y. I'm going to say the y coordinate here. And once I did this, we have now the exact item. So why we need this is I need to put this later on a reset of 0. I will set these numbers, which is right now 350 and 348 plus plus, to 0, so we can easily calculate for every one of those items, and then it becomes easier for us with a formula. So what I mean by that is, let me just show you. We're going to create a shape. So we're going to say here ctx.save to save all variables above, and then I'm going to say ctx.arc, and the arc is the shape. We're going to say the x, the y. This will be the x and y coordinates, not this one, but other ones later on. I will get them. But I'll show you step by step. So then we have here the radius. And the radius for now, I'll just make it quite straightforward. Constant radius will be equal to... oh, hold on. I'm getting ahead of myself. So we have to calculate here something. Then we're going to say here the starting angle. And then we have here the ending angle. What I basically will do is I will put multiple dots on this area here to cover this area. That's basically what I'm going to do here. So it will be a full circle. So these will be later on changed. And then here, the final value was counterclockwise. We just set them false. It does not matter. We just want a full circle. So let's start to fill up these, because these are the easiest one to fill up. What I need to do here, just to make it constant, say angle equals math.pi divided by 180 degrees. What we know is that 1 pi is a half circle. Meaning a full circle is 2 pi, so and that is equal to 360 degrees. So what I want to do is just get a single angle. So what I'm going to say here, this starting angle could be this multiplied by 0, which basically means 0. And then here the end angle would be the angle multiplied by 360 degrees. So once we have this, we can just save this, and then let's get the x and y. I'll just keep this in for now, and you will see that this will be in the center now. So if I refresh, alright, you get an error because the radius has not been defined. That's fair enough. So what I'm going to say here for the radius, let's make it 10 first. Refresh, and then where are we now? I'm seeing we're not doing something here. What I need to do here is the command to draw. So I'm going to say ctx.fill to draw the shape. Save, refresh. There we are. So now we have this here. So what I need to know is how thick is this item. And as you can see here, the color here, it's being bleeding over to this. So what I want to do here is to solve that. We're going to say here ctx.begin path. So it will not bleed over any colors and settings that we have here to any other shape. Refresh. Now it looks all normal. So what I want to do is I want to basically go here. And I want to have the thickness here. I need to know what's the thickness. So let's calculate the bar or the slice thickness. So to calculate the slice thickness, we can get the information in here. So let me just show you. We have this arc element, and we know here the outer radius, and we have here the inner radius. So basically this is 284 pixels. That is this point. So what is this here? That should be somewhere in the outer radius 315. So that will be approximately 30, I guess 31 pixels approximately. So we can just calculate it nicely by saying the following. Let's go to copy this. Then I'm going to say here, inner radius will be equal to this inner radius. And since they are all identical in shape, they have all the same thickness. So I'm going to say here outer radius. And this will be equal to the outer radius. Very straightforward. And then what I want to do here is the, I guess your constant radius equals whatever is the outer radius, which is larger, minus the inner radius, which is smaller. Once we have this, we have the exact radius here. Put it in there, save, refresh. All right, we have the radius, but what is the radius? The radius is from the center to the end. So what I need to do here is divide this by 2, or else we have a too large shape. So what I'm going to do here, divide by 2, make sure that this here gets prioritized first by deduction, and then we do the division. There we are. Now what I want to do is I want to put it in here. So I need to move this to this angle here where we have, luckily, already the end angle coordinates of this item, which is 3.96. So what I'm going to do now is move that in there. So how do we do that? Well, let's remove this. And then we're going to look at the following. I need to do a few things. I need to use here basically the Pythagoras formulas. We're going to use sinus or cosinus and sinus. Cosinus, don't ask me how all these calculations work, just follow along in this case, because I am sadly not well informed about this. I just know the formulas after some testing, so the logic, it's somewhere in the angles and the triangle calculation. Basically what I need to calculate is, if this is the angle, we start here, and this is the 90-degree angle we want to calculate. This here, that will mean how many pixels we have to calculate going to the left or to the right, depending on the situation, and how high. That's the only thing what we're going to calculate. For those, we have formulas, and those formulas, luckily, I don't have to understand them, I just have to apply them properly. So that's what I'm having here. So what I'm going to do here, the x-coordinate, what I want to do is, because I want to change this. Because here's the thing what I'm going to do. I said this about this needs to be reset to 0. So if you don't understand what I'm meaning here, is the following. I'm going to do this here, ctx.translate, and I'm going to say x and y. So now, this will set to 0, and if I put this now to 0, it will understand the exact position here. So it's 0 here and 0 there. Let's save that. And then of course it doesn't work, and the reason why is we have to translate, but I need to do here a restore. So we need to restore this, of course, the canvas. So we say ctx.restore. Hold on, are we within the function here? We have the save. This save needs to be outside the translate. So before the translate, we save first. So when we restore, we just save the old structure we had previously. That's basically what we're doing here. There we are. So you can see here, if I do here plus 10, it will move more to the right. And if I do negative 10, it will move more to the left. So 10 here on the x, there we are, and negative, there we are. So as you can see, this is the 0 point now, and now I need to just move to here. So how do we do that? Well, basically what we could do here is going to calculate that. For this, I'm going to say here the new x coordinates, and the x coordinate here constant, which I basically already had here, but that's all right. We're going to say here we have here the inner radius plus the outer, plus the radius. So what I want to do is I want to know this exact center here. So that's the outer or inner radius here plus the half of our radius. So basically our radius was divided by 2 already. So we have this already. So what I can do here, inner. And if you don't understand what I mean, why don't we just give you a visual? We're going to say here plus or inner radius plus the radius. If I do this, we should move there. There you are, exactly here. So the same would do if we do this in the negative form. There we are. Beautiful. Alright, so let's start to continue on. So what I need to do here, let's put this back. So you now have an understanding what I did, what I'm going to do here. Inner radius plus the radius that we have calculated here. This. And then what I'm going to do here, I have to make sure that this here multiply the math dot cosinus, and then we're going to grab here the end angle. And the end angle, we didn't even calculate yet, or we didn't have it yet, but the end angle is here, and the inner angle or the starting angle would be somewhere here. That's it. Well, let's get the end angle first. So you can just copy this. I'm not sure if we need a starting angle, but let's say here end angle, copy this, put that in there. And then what I'm going to do here is to copy this, calculate that, and if I do this, this is very important, we have to start here. In chart.js, this here is considered the 0 point and not here up or in the canvas. So what I need to do is I need to go a half circle. Remember what I said before, 1 pi equals a half circle or 180 degrees. So what I'm going to do here is plus a single math dot pi. Alright, so once we got this, we're going to get the x coordinate, put it in there, save that, refresh, and as you can see here, we're getting something, but this should be here, and I guess we need to make this negative. So let's make it negative, because we're going to start at this point. There we are. And this should be exactly that. I think we are on the right location. So now we've got that, let's get the y coordinate as well. So I just can copy all of this. I'm going to say y, but here we have the inner radius, and then we have here again the other radius, or like the inner radius plus the radius, and then here instead of cosinus, we're going to put in here sinus, which calculates the height of it. And what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to put it like that. Save, refresh. Alright, I don't feel like it was on the right position. Do I need to have a negative in here? Let's save that and see what's going on. There we are. I think we're getting somewhere, but as you can see here, we have the outer radius is slightly off. We're slightly too big. The reason why we're too big is you can see here this border is being calculated in the outer radius here. Remember, we assigned a border width of 2. That will mean I need to reduce the radius not by 2 but by 1, because the radius is from the center to the end. So -1, that will be calculated on both sides. So what I'm going to do here, let's see if we have that here. Where do I need to put that one? Then I guess somewhere here in the radius of this, -1. Save that, refresh. I think we are now getting somewhere. Or if it's 2, maybe it's 2 on both sides, so I need to do -2 here. I think that's the right size. There we are. Alright, so I'm going to continue on, but as you can see here, and this is the only tricky one, I didn't know exactly how to make this here. I know there's a way, but it's really complicated, so I thought I don't want to spend my time on doing that. So what I'm going to do is the lazy way, which is putting multiple circles here, some down and some up, so it will calculate and just block off this entire area. Sorry for my quick hack, but this is just the best way for me now to do it, and it's an easy way to understand. There's another way where you can draw the line exactly, but it's just a bit more tricky to calculate, and I didn't want to figure that out. So anyway, I'm going to do this, but to do that I basically need to change this here a little bit, or basically I need to copy this, and then we can just say here for the radius minus or plus, so we can do here, or sorry, that's in here, you would say maybe a -0.0 or 0.001, something like that, or 0.1. And as we do this, we're going to move slightly up or slightly down depending on our numbers. So we can do it like that, but I need multiple because I want to cover the entire range from up till down. That would mean that I want to have, let's say, 3 or 4 more circles up and 3 or 4 more circles down, so we can cover these edges here, or these indents. So let's start to do that right now. So to do this, I'm going down here like this, and probably you can see here as well, we have here a lot of items, and a lot of these things need to eventually be in a formula. So let's start to do the basics first. So what I'm going to do here, I will keep, let's see, what do I need to keep? These here will not move or change because these are the center points that is equal to all. Another one that we need to keep here, I guess, is the angle. We will not touch that angle because that's always the same, so we don't need to put it in a loop. The inner and outer radius, these will always be different. This one needs to be later on because we have the inner and outer radius that needs to be recalculated. I think here we are done. So now what I want to do here, first let's put in the shapes. So I'm going to say here chart.get data set meta index 0 dot data, and then we say here a for each loop. So we say here the value and the index function arrow expression. There we are. So then we're going to, you remember this save, this is not allowed to be changed. So I'm going to put that in here, and then I can cut this all out, put that all in there. Alright, so sorry for that. Anyway, so we have this here, the save and the restore needs to be outside of this for each loop, or else you'll get a real weird shape or movements. So now we have this here. I can just copy this. I want to make sure that's in the data, index here, index, index, index. All of these are calculated. And then we should have here, let's save that, refresh. Alright, we're getting one of these. So what is the reason for that? So we have the X and Y core like that. Alright, that works. I think we need to check here if we have to put in here something. No, I think that's all fine. Hold on, let me check. Alright, I saw my mistake. So what I need to do apparently is I need to keep this save here and the restore in here because it's looping. So every time we save it, and then I need to restore that afterwards. So we get every point here. Alright, so now we have all of these points here, but of course we need to get the colors, but I'll do the colors later on. However, we can even easily say here fill style, and we make this red for now. It's very straightforward. There we are. Alright, what I need to do now is making sure that we have multiple dots covering all of these here. And although this is really tough to read, let's make this brown. Save that, refresh. Alright, let's cover multiple of this, and what I will do is just putting as many in there. There are better ways, I just don't have a quick solution for that. So what I'm going to do here is, first of all, we're going to create an array, and we just put it in here, and we can just say here in this array constant, we can say here the coordinates will be equal to a blank array. Then what I want to do is I'm going to loop through it multiple times. What I want to do is I want to have this here down, 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 a little bit, because you will see here all of these points here needs to be covered nicely. So I'm just going to say here for, I'm going to make a for each loop, and let I will be equal to minus 0.04. Then what I want to do here is if I is larger than 0.04, what I want to do is I will increment by or plus equal 0.01. So we keep on going up until we hit the 0.4. So that will mean that it will be 4 circles under and 4 circles up, making it like a segment basically. That's basically what I'm doing here. So then what I'm going to do here, we can say constant, I guess the x coordinate here, copy this, put it in there. And then what I want to do here is we're going to say here the coordinates, and then this all will be same, and angle, and a math.pi, and then we're going to say here also a plus I. So we're changing basically these things so we can control the position of it. Same for the y, or maybe I'll just get this one because we're going to use here the sinus, not the cosinus. Y, and then here what I'm going to do here is the end angle plus the I, which is these coordinates here. Once we did this, those coordinates will be pushed into our array. Dot push. Then we have basically our object that will be xcolor, whatever the value would be, and we have another one for the y. That is the y-core. So we have now these coordinates here, and if I have a console log, we should see something nice in here. Let's save that, refresh, there we are. We have multiple coordinates here that looks absolutely phenomenal. So now, let's start to put in those coordinates in our arc here. So what we can do here is, I guess, another for each, but then we are going to loop through these coordinates here. So we say coordinates.forEach loop, and then our for each loop will be the x and y, and the x and y is the following. Let's see, why is that so weird? I was not expecting this to be like that. There we are. Alright, so then what I can do here is just grab this arc calculation, put it in there. We say here x and y, and I think it should be a negative y, x and then a positive y, radius -2, angle, and I think we are now almost done with this part. Save, refresh. Oh, there we are. Malformed arrow. This arrow here is not allowed. So let me double check here. What do we have here? Of course, I need to have here another parenthesis and here a closing parenthesis. Save that. Refresh. There we are. As you can see here, well, this one is really close to each other, but it doesn't matter. I need to get the color, and I feel like we are slightly off in our radius. What if I do 1 maybe? Oh, okay, that's it. Apparently the border radius of 2 pixels should be only 1. Anyway, doesn't matter. That's fine. I think I had it first correct, but my eyes thought it was incorrect. Anyway, we got this now. So what I need to do now is get the color. So I want to get the color and just say here, very straightforward, data sets, index 0 dot border. Well, is it border color? I think we change it to background color. Yes, because the border color is white. There we are. Index, save, refresh. Absolutely phenomenal, with an exception here. Apparently this one is maybe too narrow. Interesting. However, there's one more mistake in here. As you can see here, we're going down too far. And this one here needs to be better. And as well, if I do this, if I hide something, look what's going on. We're not hiding our circles. So let's fix this here. And what I can do to do that is basically saying the length. So what I want to do here, what is the proper length on this? We can say constant length equals the data dot labels dot length -1. And what I'm doing here is basically I'm just getting the length of the labels. You could do the length of data points or anything you want. I'll just keep it on labels just to make it simple. And then what I'm going to say here, if this is the length here, then what I need to do here is the following. I guess we can make an if statement in here. Let's say if. And then what I want to do here is for the links, the index, if the index is smaller than length, in that case, we want to cut out this and loop through that in here. Alright, go in here, save, refresh. There we are, that looks much better. This one here I'm not that satisfied with. Maybe I'm going too far back. So we could say here, we don't have to go -4, we can do -3. Maybe -2. Alright, I don't like -2. So here, we just not, or maybe -3 is fine, but this -3 is fine as well. Or +3. Yeah. Is it? Can we do it even shorter? I am not certain. Let's do it 2. then we are starting to, that could be acceptable if we're going to put in a white line on top of it, but I'll just leave it as it is. So we have this here, and I just suggest that this should be longer. Anyway, before we end, look at this. I don't accept this here. And you can see here, look, if I hover, this hover effect here, that should be a separate video as well, then we should cover that. But I want to first fix this hiding, so it will be at least working. So what I could do here is the following. We can just use here a very nice function. What I want to do here is the following. This is a built-in functionality, so I can just put an end, and that's this functionality, just to give you an idea. Chart get data visibility, and then we put in here the index number, or the number of the data point. This is built specifically for a bar, not for a bar chart, but for a pie chart and the likes. I guess pie chart and donut chart has the only one with a different legend. So if it's visible, there it is. Save, refresh. Alright, so now if I click this, it hides it. Then if I click again, it will show it. So now we have this, and you can see here, this will nicely work. Absolutely phenomenal. And this is quite nice. Alright, so now we have this so far. This one here I'm not satisfied with, but I have no solution for this. But there should be still a white border around this. That will be a separate video because we need to create that arc properly.